Welcome back to the channel. I know I haven't been updating for a long time, but let's look at this question today. It's zero array transformation one. So you're given an integer array nums of length n, and then you also given the 2D array queries that consider left and the right. And then this means that for the queries I, that you have a left and a right, you want to do the slices of that array, and then just decrement the values inside that by one. So what does that mean? It's like, let's say I'm giving you 101, and I'm telling you that from array 0 to 2 inclusive, that I want that the indices from this subset to be decreased by 1. So this is being said that, 1 will decrease by 1, and then this will decrease by 1, and this will decrease by 1. So a zero array is an array where all elements are equal 0. So you want to return true if it's possible to transform. Otherwise, return false. So I think we just give an example that you can decrease like select a subset of indices. So you want to decrease this by 1. So if it's 0, you can just actually ignore it and say that it's already 0. You don't have to decrease anything. So in one iteration, you can make this to be 0, 0, 0. In this way, instead, 4, 3, 2, 1, you can see that in the first iteration that you go through 1 to 3, you can decrease this by 1, this by 1, and this by 1. And then you do a 0 to 2 again, that you decrease 4 by 1. You can see it here, become 3, and then 2 become 1, and 1 becomes 0. But this is not a 0 array because 3 and 1 are not 0. So this being said, it's like if you're 0 and then you go negative, it's okay. We just pretend that they're not going negative. So that's one way to think about these questions. So how do we do this? Actually, I wasn't very sure in the beginning, and then I take the hint, and then they say maybe you can consider using a difference array and a prefix sum. So let's dive into how we do this. All right. So let's say we're given this 4, 3, 2, 1, and the q is 1, 3, and 0, 2. So one way we can do this is we kind of just take this, right, 1 to 3, and then we just go in here and just minus 1 like manually each time, and then go iteratively and then go to the next one and then come back and then modify 0 to 2. But this will take this amount of time to go through this amount of things inside. So instead of doing that, we can take the hint and do a difference array. And I was very confused by that in the beginning, and like how do you take something that can like not like iterate through the whole indices? And I come to a realization that what you can do is this. So first you do a different array. So let's say you call this diff. So this will be a length of n plus 1. So you just initialize everything to be 0. Sorry, I'm still trying to see what's the best way to draw. All right, now currently I'm using a mouse. So by saying that 1 to 3, we can actually increase the indices of 1 by 1, and then this is 1, 2, 3, and then go to 3 plus 1, and then we decrease this by 1. So what's this saying that? It's that if I do a sum array of like how many times I decrease this will be 0, this will be 1, and this will be 1, 1, and this will be 0 because we do a prefix sum. So what this is telling you is that, oh, at this point, I'm this decreases by this amount of time. So if I do 0, 2 instead later, so you can see that from 0, I want to plus 1. And then at 2 plus 1 is 3, and I have to do a minus 1. So things about this is a prefix sum, right? So the prefix sum is like the current sum will be 1 here. The current sum here will be 2. And then this is 2. Means that at this index, I actually decrease it by 2 times, right? So if you have 2 and then you decrease by 2 times, you can tell like, yeah, we have enough to make this to be 0. And then this is 2 minus 1, this is 1, and then this one is 1. So this one is 0, sorry. I think the last one will always be 0 because it doesn't really take into consideration. So in here, you can see that the total time that you're subtracting, it's 1 at index 0. So this can, at most, decrease by 1 become 3. This can at most be like decrease 2, which become 1, and then this can be 0, that can be 0, which is aligned with what we have. So the key idea here is that we have a different array to count, like using the prefix sum idea, that we increase the starting point and then decrease when it ended, because this is inclusive at this part 1 to 3, and then this one is now no longer increment again, so we minus 1 here. So I think this is just a very simple example that I gave, and then later on you can just check if this one is enough, right? If this one it's enough for this to be subtract. If not, then it will be false. You can make it 0 array. So the code is I'll say it's pretty simple after you know the idea. So first we initialize a different array. This will be the length of nums plus 1. And then you can just take the left and right of the query, which is what exactly we're doing. And then so on the left side in the array, we want to increment by 1. And then on the right side, which is right plus 1, we want to decrease by 1. So now we will do the prefix sum part. So this is the prefix sum. So we will have the sum, or like a count equals 0. And then we can also do a count array. So basically we just add that into the count array and then see what it is, because in here we only have the plus and minus, right? So we need to reconstruct another prefix array. So for I in range the length of the different array, or you can just say for every element inside this diff array, like let's say for num, or like for count in like the diff array. So your count can plus equals to this count, and then your count array will just append whatever count you have. So we're adding the current one, right? The prefix sum. So then we can go through the nums. So you can either do it in a zip way, like because we want to call the count array and also nums, but I just use I, so you can just access both. So if your count array at I is less than your nums I, which means that, let's say this is what we have just now, right? Let's say this is 2, this is what in your count array, and then this is what in your nums, right? This is what in your nums, and then if this one is less than this, means that it can never hit 0 or even go to negative. So if this is the case, then we want to return false. After checking all of them, we know that this will be true. So we can just return true at the end here. So if I run this, accept it, and then let's submit this. All right, it did pretty well as well. Okay, so so the idea here is just have to build a prefix array and a different array that you can check it one by one. All right, thank you for watching. This is the first video after a while. I hope I can keep up and produce more video in the future.